And because he is shouting so loud, all the neighbors start coming out like, hey, what's going on? He's like, I shot him 6 times and he's gone. Look, his blood's on my hands. But the works of man cannot defeat Michael Myers. Call the police! And he just runs away. Hello, and thank you for checking out the video. I just want to let you know that I not only create content on my YouTube channel, Class in the Glass, but I'm also on Twitch, where I review movies, cartoons, and TV shows live, while also playing single-player games and multiplayer games. I also have a Patreon where subscribers have access to hundreds of video and audio commentaries for films and cartoons, as well as podcasts and videocasts. In the meantime, thank you again for watching. Enjoy the video.
Universal Pictures presents Halloween 2, More of the Night He Came Home.
But now, my friends, moving on from all those wonderful trailers, I want to get to my review for Halloween 2, 1981. Now, I've kind of already said a few things at the start of the stream about this movie. You know, I remember when the last time I watched this was, nearly 20 years ago. I saw this when I was very young teen, maybe 12 years old, and I saw a TV edit of the movie, and I don't know, I was just really bored by it. But I'd forgotten a lot. I mean, I knew they established that. Oh, this was I mean, it's you know, it's actually funny enough. It's kind of well regarded by a lot of people. Commercially, it did very well in 1981. It also did well with critics too. It established probably the biggest thing that, it contributed to the Halloween franchise, would establish that Michael Myers is the brother of Laurie Strode. And, that spun off into 2 different film timelines for Halloween. The famously or infamously, the Thorn trilogy, where you had it where Laurie had a child, but she passed away, and then Michael Myers, stalked his niece for several films, and Halloween 4, and then 5, and then Curse of Michael Myers, and then also established the H2O timeline when they did H2O, took place 20 years later in the late 90s chat, and they did, famously Resurrection with Busta Rhymes, Trick or Treat Motherfucker, of course. But back before Trick or Treat Motherfucker and, Celtic cults, there was Halloween 2. And, I don't know. I think there's some things about it I do like. I think there's some fun performances. Donald Pleasence, he really stands out. He's giving it his all. He's at a fucking 11 constantly in this movie. And anytime he's on screen, he works. But I don't know. I just feel like the movie's kind of dull for the most part. And they don't really give Jamie Lee Curtis anything to do. She is laying down. The first time that she actually stands up and tries to walk in the movie is at like the 1 hour mark. For the most part, she's in a hospital. It reminded me recently of something like Halloween Kills. So it was interesting that they went back to that. It's like, I wouldn't want to go back to that at all. And also I realized this is where they established the Celtic mumbo jumbo too in this movie. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? And then of course, which I already said, everything to do with Michael being the brother of Laurie, that comes out of nowhere. And I know that that's been a big, sticking point. It's stuck in a lot of people's craw who are upset that David Gordon Green, Danny McBride moved away from that in their own Halloween trilogy in 2018. But I'm like, good. Because I realized, chat, it kind of makes no goddamn sense. It just felt like, and listen, John Carpenter, I love the man, but I love a lot of his work, but he co-wrote this with his partner at the time, Deborah Hill. He also directed a lot of it. I mean, he's not listed as the director, but he did direct a good portion of this. Rick Rosenthal, who, funny enough, came back into the franchise later on and directed Halloween Resurrection. I was like, wow, okay. But yeah, he made those choices. Now, he intended to kill Michael Myers in this movie, and even famously when he was, I think, doing press for The Thing, he was asked, like, are you going to bring back Michael Myers? He's like, no, the Shape is dead. Dr. Loomis is dead, unfortunately. And, I want the Halloween franchise to move on to become something different. And they did Season of the Witch. And sadly, audiences just didn't flock to that film, and people were confused by it. I actually like that movie. But listen, I'm by no means dismissing its importance in the trilogy, or excuse me, in the franchise. I'm just not a big fan of it. And it's for other reasons, which I will explain a bit. But what about you guys? How do you feel about Halloween 2? Have you seen Halloween 2, 1981? And do you like the movie, Chan? I'm kind of more on the negative side, although I have a few positive things to say about the film, but for the most part, kind of negative. Let's see. They have the hot tub scene in the therapy room. Yep, it's scalding water. Chris Harris's like, yeah. You were trick or treat, motherfucker. Busta Rhymes, of course. Yep, the only man to verbally harass Michael Myers, and Michael went, I can't handle this, and he just leaves the scene. Oh, Edge of Zerka, I honestly barely remember it. There's a reason for that, and I'll tell you why, but you're right. Cass, if I haven't seen it, Brando Curious don't remember if I've seen it, and I don't know. Always, man, it's aight. Bitch Sigmore, I tend to still like it, but yeah, flawed. So maybe, okay, because didn't Laurie say that people made up the fact that they were related in Halloween 2018, which is a whole other timeline. I know, these timelines are confusing, but that was Halloween 2018, the only film that it regards as canon is the first one, and then it continues on after that. Where the other two timelines, they take Halloween 2 and make that part of the canon. Let's see. I like Halloween 2. It's better than the sequels afterwards. I mean, yeah. The only one I would say that I feel was better than Halloween 2 is maybe H2O, but yeah, I mean, I won't die on that hill. I could see that. I could definitely see that. It's been a minute, but I remember it being one of the better ones, although that's not saying much. I mean, it's reviewed well, and it's a lot of people in the fan base like it a lot. So I've always been kind of confused by that. But that's just me. Who else? I was bored watching it too, says Luke the Boss. Jen Elfman, I did see it. It wasn't as good as the first by any stretch. I feel like they took too long to focus on any plot stuff. Yep. And leaned so hard into the kills, it made the movie drag for me. The hot tub scene made me wince. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll get to that scene in a bit. And BBGTG, welcome to the show. And Noni Woman, Lily, 23 months, almost 2 years. Thank you so much, Lily. Thank you so much, Noni Woman, for being here. I hope you're doing very well. An absolute pleasure. Giant Elfman. Hello, Giant Elfman. Welcome. Never seen this one. I've seen Halloween, seen the original Summer Baby. I like H2O. But even then, that's been a while since I saw that movie. But yeah, chat. You know, like I said, when the movie came out, it reviewed pretty well. It was a pretty big box office success, made for about $2.5 million, grossed $25 million domestically alone. I'm not sure what its total box office is worldwide, but it did very well for itself, and people were still riding high off of the first film, which was, you know, that was a revelation, Chad. I mean, yes, you can state Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, definitely started the slasher subgenre of horror, but Halloween, John Carpenter's 1978 film, is the one that popularized it and caused like all these other spin-offs and all these other types of slasher films, whether it be Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, you pick. It all started with Halloween. So, you know, this one was riding off of that success. People were hungry for more of these types of movies, and specifically a sequel featuring Michael Myers. But that's just my general thoughts. Thank you for sharing yours. You know, one of the positive things I can say at the start of this review, chat, I like the opening. I like Halloween's simple, straightforward openings. Like even the original one, chat, you have that pumpkin and you have that amazing John Carpenter music, that ba 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 ba, all that, and you have that with this particular pumpkin, but slowly being ripped apart, slowly becoming undone. Inside of the pumpkin is this human skull. It's like, ooh, it's very creepy. It's very effective opening, chat. But we move from that pretty goddamn good opening with that wonderful John Carpenter music, and we're at the end of Halloween 1978. Like, again, it's like, I was like, wait a minute, are they use a lot of archive footage in this movie, which is it's a pretty short film. It's only about, I mean, they say it's 90 minutes. It's about 85. You know, that last 5 minutes is pretty much credits, chat. But, you know, we're at the end of Halloween 1978, where Laurie is telling the two kids, chat, Tommy Doyle, and I forget the girl's name, but Tommy and the other a person she's babysitting to leave the house and go get help. And she's resting, I suppose, you know, by the door frame. And Michael, he just fucking stands up and he just sits up and just looks at her. It's like, you! I need to give you the keys you left on my porch. And so he goes over to her, attacks her, but she forces his mask off, revealing his face. At the same time, Dr. Loomis, he hears the screams of children. And normally he would be very giddy and he'd be laughing, chat, because nothing gets, Dr. Samuel Lewis more happy than hearing children scream. But he runs into the house and he sees Michael try to put his mask back on, and he starts shooting him, chat. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, 6 times. I shot him 6 times. And this then causes, and we see kind of now a lot of this archive footage, but we do see from another perspective. They shoot outside the house, and Michael topples over, and he falls on the ground, which we see in Halloween 1978. Loomis then proceeds to completely ignore Laurie Strode. He doesn't give a shit. Like, she does this, like, was that the boogeyman? And he's like, yeah, it was the boogeyman. It's like, no, he's not. He's like, it was the boogeyman. He was evil. And so he runs outside immediately, and the body is fucking, okay, so there's some continuity errors here, because famously, in the original film, he looks over the railing, and the body's gone. Here they change it, where he goes outside the check, and he's like, oh, God, the body is gone. The evil is gone from here. The evil is gone from here. And he's like, what? It's like, so they're changing things. And because he is shouting so loud, all the neighbors start coming out like, hey, what's going on? He's like, I shot him 6 times and he's gone. Look, his blood's on my hands. But the works of man cannot defeat Michael Myers. Call the police! And he just runs away. He runs away trying to find him, Jay. Trying to find him. Eventually, we then see him, he runs to Sheriff Brackett, who is in the police car. He's the sheriff that was helping him in the last movie. He pulls up, and the sheriff's like, whoa, where have you been? I tried to look for you at the Myers house. He's like, he came to the house, and there's some fucking girl in there. I don't give a shit. But I shot him 6 times, Sheriff. We have to find him. And he's like, okay, we'll get in the car. And so they drive off. And then we cut to Michael, who is just walking around fine. He got shot 6 times, but he's okay. He's got a little pep in his step. And he notices, Chad, this one house just down the road that has an elderly couple in it. You have this old woman, Chad. She's making some ham sandwiches for herself and her husband, Chad. She's got that Grey Poupon mustard in a jar, very fancy. And she got a big old jar of Hellman's mayonnaise. And she's just lathering that ham sandwich with some mayo, chat. And, she gets distracted because her husband's watching Night of the Living Dead, the original 1968 George Romero film. So she goes in there, but then, there's a special news bulletin. There's a fucking maniac, and he's been killing all the horny teenagers in Haddonfield, Illinois. Be sure to keep an eye out for him. Michael comes in. He grabs the big old mayo knife just slathered in mayo. And then he leaves, chat. And then the wife, she turns around, she notices, no, her mayo knife, it's gone. Ah! And she screams. And then we cut to this random girl. We cut to this random girl who Michael is watching from the bushes. She has no fucking peripheral vision. She looks like this. It's like she's got blinders on. She can't look from right to left, can't look up to down. She just straight forward. And Michael's watching her. And she goes outside and she's like, Mrs. Elrod, are you okay? Mrs. Elrod? It's like, we don't even know if Michael killed them or not. I don't think he did. He just left. And she's like, my mayo knife. And so she goes back inside and she's on the phone, right? And she's talking to her friend. And she's like, sorry, I just heard Mrs. Elrod screaming. You know what it was? She's always chastising and criticizing and badgering her husband. He's probably just beating her right now or something. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's like, hey, chat, it's the 80s, or in the case of this movie, it's 1978, where you're like, old man Elrod, he's just beating his wife. It happens. This is how it is back in 1978. So, Michael then's like, well, I will not stand here and allow for such dismissiveness of spousal abuse. I'm going to come into that goddamn house, and I'm going to stab you in the boob. And so, he does his whole fucking shtick. he goes inside the house and fucking, you know, of course, this woman, this teenage girl, she ain't locking the goddamn doors like she's supposed to. And then her friend, the phone's telling her, like, oh, listen, like, there's like a killer out, you know, apparently, you know, the police are arriving. And she's like, what street? And she says the street name or whatever. And she's like, that's like right next to my street. And she's like, you better lock your door. She's like, okay, I'm going to lock them right now. Bye-bye. And she hangs up the phone. And then she proceeds to go to the front door, which is completely open at this point. And she's like, who did this? And then Michael's like, me, I don't stand for spousal abuse. And he stabs her in the boob. And as we know, chat, according to my streams, if you get boob stabbed, and ladies, let me know, if you get boob stabbed, you die instantly. And that's what happens to her. Boob stab, dead, instantaneous. All right? She barely even knew what the fuck happened. Anyway, we then cut from that, chat. This scene right here gets me to this day. I'm like, first of all, I forgot. I was like, I think I remembered, like, okay, there was another person they thought was Michael Myers, but how this scene then proceeds is fucking ridiculous. Rockaberty, yeah, it deflates all your life force. See, Rockaberty knows. Thank you, Rockaberty, for the confirmation. Appreciate that. Deflates your life force. I love that. But we cut to we cut to Dr. Loomis and we cut to Sheriff Brackett. And Sheriff Brackett's like, what happened? What was going on? He's like, I attacked this poor girl and I didn't really give a shit. But Sheriff, the gun, if you just take me to him, if we find him, I'll finish the job. He's like pointing the gun at Sheriff. He's like, could you fucking stop pointing that for me? Do you have the safety on? He's like, what's a safety? It's like, oh my God. But they, as they're driving, they spot like a whole group of like kids, like teenagers or whatever, and they're like, just talking, and they notice someone who's walking towards them. It looks very distinctly like Michael Myers, Chad, except if Michael Myers' hair was blonde, okay? And Dr. Loomis is like, there he is! There's the shape! There's Satan! And he starts shooting out of the car, like, instantly. Then the ship record's like, whoa! And Lewis is like, he throws himself as Michael, it ends tonight. He like fucking Brackett has to grab him to stop him from shooting this person who he thinks is Michael Myers. The guy who, you know, it's like, is this Michael? He then's like, holy shit. He just kind of runs away. He walks into the street, and then this police car just goes, boom, fucking hits him so hard, pins him to the fucking hood of the car. They drive into a parked van, and then boom! It explodes instantly. The cop is blasted out of the car, but then the guy who they think is Michael Myers is just burning to death. Yeah, like clearly died on impact, but now he's burning to death. And Dr. Loomis is like, yes, the cleansing fire will take the evil from this world. And they're like, are we sure that's Michael Myers? And they're like, maybe, I don't know. Then another cop arrives and tells Sheriff Brackett that there's been some murders at this house, and it's where his daughter Annie is, Chad, from the last movie. She was the one that got strangled in the car and then stabbed. He's like, my daughter? No, not Annie. And so after that, we then cut, and they're at the house again. They wheel out Annie Brackett's body, and she's fucking dead. Cameo from the original actress from the first movie. That was kind of cool. They brought back some of the same people, not just, you know, Sheriff Brackett and, you know, Laurie Strode and, you know, Donald Pleasance, Dr. Loomis. They brought back some of the other people, too, you know, as just cameos, And Brackett sees this, and he's so distraught, and he blames Loomis. He's like, you released him, you let him out, it's your fault. And Dr. Loomis is like, the evil must die. And, you know, they're like, Sheriff Brackett, you need to go home. You got to tell your wife. He's like, oh, God. And so he leaves for the rest of the movie. And then we're with generic white cop number one. I don't know what his name is, chat, but I'm just going to call him Sheriff Generic. And so Sheriff Generic looks like we're teaming up Dr. Loomis. He's like, ah! And so after that, they wheel out Laurie Strode, and they put her into the ambulance, chat. And then we're introduced to I forgot about this character. We're introduced to like the creepiest EMT driver I've ever met, named Jimmy, because he just obsesses over Laurie. It's like the first time he's ever met her, ever laid eyes on her, and he's like, I love you. It's like, this is really weird and dated, but they have like an instantaneous connection, even though Laurie's lost a ton of blood and she barely knows anything. She barely knows anything, Chad. She's like, I don't know where I am. And she's like, please don't give me drugs. I need to stay awake. And he's like, I'll protect you, Laurie. I'll always watch you. It's like, who are you, sir? And eventually they drive her to the hospital. They drive her to the hospital. And they get her out of the ambulance. And we're introduced to a shit ton of nurses and doctors that are all just meat. They barely have. I couldn't even tell you what all their names were. I'm gonna guess at some of their names. I don't remember, but they wheel her in there. The doctor, who's like, because it's it's the night shift. Because apparently, chat, no one in Haddonfield, Illinois is in the hospital. Just like two babies. You got two babies in there, and no one else is injured or sick or in critical condition. Nope, just Laurie Strode. Everyone else is fine right now. So they wheel her in there. The doctor is drunk, and he can barely speak any sentences, chat. He's what's going on? And he's like, this woman, she needs help. You have the one competent person working at the goddamn hospital. It's nurse, what's her name, chat? I got to put respect on her because she's great. I like her a lot. She's probably my one of my favorite characters in this specific movie. Alvis. Nurse Virginia Alvis, she's really cool. She's no nonsense. She wants to do her job. She wants to make sure all the patients are taken care of. Chad, hello, nurse, indeed. Every time she's on screen, and she's gorgeous. But she has to help the doctor sedate Laurie because he's like stabbing every other. He's trying to get the vein, but he keeps missing. It's like, my God. They get it. She goes under, and Jimmy's like, I'll take care of you, Laurie, while you sleep. I'll watch you while you're sleeping. It's like, creepy Jimmy. No. After that wonderful, weird moment, chat, we then, this comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, what does this have to do with the movie? We then cut to this mother and son, and she's taken him out of the car, and his mouth is profusely bleeding. And I'm like, wait, what is this? Was he attacked by Michael Myers? What happened? And she's like, let me see it. Let me see. Open your mouth. And he has this. I was like, oh, he has this giant fucking thing in his mouth. I couldn't tell what it was at first. It's like a giant razor blade. And it's that whole fear of, oh shit, these fucking weirdos are putting razor blades in the apples and candy. But it's nothing to do with Michael. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. And so then they go inside the hospital and they take care of his mouth, and then they leave. And that's it. I'm like, what was the point? I mean, I know, and I guess it was just preying on parents' fear. Because, during the 70s and 80s, chat, parents had this fear that, Halloween and the month of October is satanic. And, you had all these urban legends and rumors of people putting poison in candy and rat poison and razor blades and shit. Maybe they were trying to play that up. But I don't think there's any truth to it. And anyway, I was like, but it serves no purpose in the movie. It's like, why even have it there? And I think the only reason I can think of, chat, is there's so little happening for most of this film. Like, I cut out a lot of shit from this review. There's a lot of stuff in it because now we're at the hospital. The hospital is definitely one of the worst locations in the series because there are so many long shots of people walking down hallways or just the hallways in general. Scene after scene after scene of hallway shots. It's like, why are we spending so much time in this hospital hallway? It's unnecessary. So maybe they're like, what's disturbing, creepy? A kid with a giant fucking razor blade in his mouth. And it is. It's like, wait, what's going on? But it serves no point to the film itself. It has no purpose. Anyway, they help him. He's fine. Him and his mom don't get killed by Michael Myers shit. I mean, I feel sorry for him. It's like, oh shit. But they go home. He's like, ha. He sounds like that now. Anyway, we then cut to this other character named Karen, Nurse Karen. I guess she went to a party with her friend earlier, and she's late for work, and her friend's like, but you promised to drive me home. And she's like, but that will put, an extra 5 minutes on my journey to work. And she's like, but you promised. She's like, okay, I did. And so they get in the car and they drive away. And Michael's like, well, I heard hospital, and therefore I must go to the hospital and start killing. And so he follows them and it's literally down the road. It's like 5 minutes, bull fucking shit. You can easily, the town's small, but whatever. He follows them to Haddonfield Memorial. And I guess the whole thing is he has the connection to Laurie now for whatever reason, but we don't know that yet. We don't know that yet in the movie. Anyway, she then goes into work, and Michael just watches her from the distance. We then cut to Jimmy, who is deeply and madly in Laurie, and he's just daydreaming about her now. And we then cut to like one of the other nurses who's like watching the news report, and we cut to Bud, who is just an asshole. He's just a creep and an asshole, chat. He's just as creepy as Jimmy, but he's an asshole about it. Eventually, Karen comes in, and she's like, hi, because her boyfriend's Bud, I guess. And he's like, hey, how you doing? Good looking. And it's like, I'm okay. He's like, you're late. She's like, I know. I got to get to Nurse Alvers and explain like what happened. He's like, all right, no problem. And then she walks away, and then he just starts talking about how he wants to eat her out, like, multiple times. I'm like, I get it, dude. I get it. And even the nurse is like, God, you're fucking gross. and it's just like, this is not appropriate. Oh, and by the way, they're all smoking doobies in the hospital. You're smoking marijuana in the hospital. What are you doing? But they leave. And Jimmy's like, I don't like the way you talk about Karen. He's like, I don't like the way you fucking touch Laurie when she's asleep. And he's like, shut up. And he runs away. He's like, what did I say? After that, we then cut to Nurse Alvers. And, she's upset with Karen because she's late and because they got 2 newborn babies that need care, in case anything happens to them. What if something happened to them? You weren't here. And she's like, I'm sorry. I just was hanging out with my friend and we were getting high and bobbing for apples. And she's like, well, I don't give a shit, okay? I'm here to make sure that these children are safe, all right? That we want their parents to know that they're safe here. And she's like, okay, whatever. And Michael's just watching this. Michael just spends the next 30 minutes of this movie pretty much going from room to room and just listening to really awkward conversations. That's what he does. He's like, well, I don't want to say anything because this is just kind of this is just weird. I'm sensing a lot of tension in this hospital. I'm going to alleviate that by stabbing and murdering everyone, which he proceeds to do. But it's scene after scene of him just kind of listening to these conversations, going like, all right, and moving on to the next one. Eventually, the phone lines are all cut. They're all cut, chat, and that's no good. That's no good. And so we're introduced to the character of Mr. Garrett, who is the security guard at the hospital. And I'm going to tell you right now, this man should not be a security guard, chat. I don't mean to body shame him, but he is morbidly obese. He does not watch the security cams because what he was doing, chat, guess what he was doing? He was reading a porno magazine and stuffing his face. Okay, that's what he's doing, eating his buttered noodles. And if he wasn't stuffing his face of buttered noodles and jerking off to a porno mag, he would have seen Michael Myers come just waltz right into the hospital. He would have known, but he's too fucking busy doing those things. Sinister Cinema, thank you again for the raid. Thank you for the raid. Pleasure to have you. Hope you had a very nice stream. Just talking about security guard Mr. Garrett, who was busy jerking himself off and eating buttered noodles. Anyway, the phone lines are all cut, and so the nurses and the drunk doctor, he's drunk, and so he goes to his office. He's a help to nobody. But they asked Mr. Garrett to check the phone lines, and so Mr. Garrett goes outside. He's like, oh, do I have to go outside? Mr. Garrett, you have to. It's part of your job. Oh, but I'm so full. Like, Mr. Garrett, please. And he's like, okay. And he waddles out. He gives one of the nurses a walkie-talkie. But she's like, I don't know how walkie-talkies work. They're complicated. And he's like, just keep it on channel 1. I'm on channel 1. Hold the button down and talk into it and say over. And then let the button go, and then I'll respond. And she's like, that's a lot of instructions. She's like, I'm going to go check the phone lines. He waddles outside to check the phone lines, chat. And, he's just like, well, someone's definitely cut the phone lines. And he hears something, a rustling in a garbage dumpster. He goes to a garbage dumpster, chat, opens it up, and there's blood in there. He's like, oh, someone spilled a bunch of tomato sauce in here. Horrible. Then, fucking cat, jump scare. Cat surprises him, chat, and latches onto his fat rolls. He's like, no. And it forces him to fall over, chat. And it takes him a good 5 minutes to stand back up, okay? Mr. Garrett's a big man. But they get up. Bakor, thank you so much for coming. 5 months of incredible support. Just talk about Mr. Garrett and the cat attacking his fat rolls. And so he eventually waddles up. He gets up, but he notices across the way that one of the storerooms of the hospital is wide open. And he's like, oh, God damn it. He goes over there. Lock's been busted in. He's like, no. And he goes inside. And he's looking around. And we see like a shit ton. It is a smorgasbord of weapons for Michael Myers because you have this huge wall covered in various power tools, chat, and hammers and drills and screwdrivers. Like Michael might have probably just walked in there and was like fucking Belle from Beauty and the Beast, going like, "Oh my God, it's amazing! This is perfect! Everything I want!" And so he goes in there, he continues to check, and he checks door number 1. Door number 1's got the lock that's been busted open, and he opens up, and then, all these boxes fall on him, and then guess what, chat? Fatty falls down, and he has to get back up. But then he's like, "I gotta call the nurse. Hey, I think someone's in the storeroom. You need to call the police." And the nurse is like, "I don't know if this is working, but Mr. Garrett, the phone lines are down. That's why we sent you out there." "Oh, yeah." I forgot. I'm like, "Oh, good." Okay. Well, someone should call the police. "Mr. Garrett, you don't understand." And he doesn't care. He's like, "I'm going to check." He goes to door number 2 because the lock on that door, that one's off too. And he goes in there. Nothing. Can't find anything. He's looking around. Okay. Nothing around door number 2. And then he goes down. He's like, "I think it was just some kids. I'm going to lock up." And he proceeds to shut the door. And who's on the other side of the door? It's like, "Hi, it's me, Michael Myers." Bonk. And he slams into his head, Chet. He fucking brings down the pointy end of a hammer right into Mr. Garrett, Chet. And Mr. Garrett is no more. He wasn't a very good security guard to begin with, Chat, in my personal opinion. Numerous hallway shots happen after this scene. And then eventually, Chat, we get creepy Jimmy, who is literally goes into Laurie's room and just watches her. She's asleep, by the way, watches her, walks up to the bed, and Jen just touches her face like this. He's literally known her for maybe 45 minutes. I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Laurie wakes up. She's like, "Oh, hi." He's like, "Hi." And she's into it. She's into it, apparently. And he's like, "Laurie, I just want to let you know that I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be sure to protect you." She's like, "Okay." After that wonderful, creepy scene, he has some information to tell her. He's like, "Oh, Laurie, I just want to let you know about the killer." She's like, "Yeah, what?" Because they never mentioned Michael Myers' name to her in the first movie. And he basically says to her, the killer, the person. She's like, "Oh, the boogeyman? Yeah, him. His name is Michael Myers." She's like, "Michael Myers? Of the Myers house?" He goes, "Yeah, what do you know about that?" And she's like, "The keys. She dropped off the keys at the Michael Myers house, chat. Remember in the first movie? Because her dad asked her to because he's trying to sell the goddamn house. That's what it is." And Michael Myers is like, "Get these fucking keys off my porch. They're not mine, all right? This is my property." Anyway, and then we get a really weird flashback that it's all over the place. We get one shot of her as a little girl talking to her mom, but then her mom says, "I'm not your mother, Laurie." And I'm like, well, that was really aggressive. And then we get a scene of Laurie in an insane asylum looking at a young Michael Myers who's looking out the window. Those are the two scenes. And I'm like, okay. I guess this is establishing that she's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I always knew I was his sister." It's like, really? That's how you're going to do it? Okay, all right, sure, fair enough. All right. Anyway, we then cut back from that. Cut away from that, thankfully. And we're with Karen again, who's watching the babies. But she's like, "Babies are boring." And then she hears someone moving in one of the rooms. She goes in one of the rooms and sees like someone covering themselves with a blanket. She's like, "You got to get up, mister." And she pokes and goes, "Bah!" And this person scares her, but it's just her really horny boyfriend named Bud, who says, "Hey, screw those babies. Let's get to baby making ourselves." And she's like, "No, I gotta, even though babies are like boring and gross and stuff, I gotta make sure that like they don't die or whatever." And he's like, "Well, hey, why don't we go to the therapy room and we can like have some fun?" She's like, "Okay." And so he goes to the therapy room, which apparently, Chad, it's water therapy. And then there's this giant industrial-sized metallic tub. And it's basically like a hot tub. And, you know, he's waiting there, and he's all naked. And then Karen, she's taking off all her clothes, and she shows off her bazungas, chat. They're just proudly featured. And then she gets in the tub, and they start smooching and everything. But Michael Myers, he then wanders into the room, and he's like, there will be no fornication in front of me, thank you. You got to watch those fucking babies. And yes, I agree, they're boring and gross, but you got to do your goddamn job, Karen. And so he starts turning up the heat, if you will, of the metallic tub, chat, like increasing the heat until it's like supposed to be scalding. And then while Bud and Karen, they're smooching and stuff, she's like, it's getting really hot in here. He's like, I know. She's like, no, like, not figuratively, like, really hot, like, literally hot. And she's like, what do you want me to do about it? And she's like, well, can you, like, check the temperature? And he's like, and he gets out, get a nice shot of his pale ass, his pale, just kind of, like, concave ass. He gets out of the tub. She gets out of the tub, too, because it's hot. And so she sits on the edge of the tub while Bud goes in there, and he's like, I don't know how tubs work. And then Michael's like, I could show you. And he starts to strangle Bud, and he kills him. He kills Bud, and he falls down. Meanwhile, he doesn't make a fucking sound. I don't know if the therapy room has, like, soundproof doors and glass, but I guess in this case it does. Because he strangles the fuck out of him, and I guess breaks his neck, and he dies. Michael then goes over to Karen, who has her back to him, and he just places his hand on her shoulder, and she's like, did you adjust the temperature? Bud, listen, I have to get back to work. And then Michael, like, starts trying to, like, looks like he's trying to cop a feel, and she's like, oh, Bud, I forgot how strong your hands are. And then she starts kissing Michael Myers' hand. Michael's like, all right, that's enough of that. He, like, turns her around and grabs her head and then just dunks her into the scalding water, chat. And he's like, no! And her fucking skin and meat and bazungas all start blistering, and the skin starts falling off her face in bazungas, chat. Until she's like, and then he throws her out of the thing. By the way, his hand is fine. No scalding, no burning on Myers' hand. He's got that thick skin. Bloody Friend Major, thank you for subscribing. A pleasure to have you here. 31 months on a 28-month streak. We're just talking about a woman's face and boobs melting off. Anyway, we then cut from that wonderful scene. And there's another nurse whose name I don't remember at all. She has brown hair. She's a brunette. And because she's like, where is everybody? And so she's like, I'm going to go find the drunk doctor. And so she goes to his office, and she walks in, and the doctor's just in it. All the lights are off, and he has a fish tank. He's just staring at his fish tank like this. She's like, Doctor, have you been drinking more? I was like, of course he's been fucking drinking. He was an alcoholic. He fucking stabbing Laurie in her goddamn arm. Couldn't find the veins. Right there, dude. She turns his chair around, and she sees the needle, funny enough, he was trying to use on Laurie, is now stabbed into his eyeball, and he's dead, so he got killed off screen. And she's like, oh my God. And then Michael, he was, I guess, waiting there, grabs her, and he also grabs a needle. She's like, no. Now, I thought, like, oh, he's going to stab her in the eye, too. No, he does something that I don't really see that often. He stabs her, like, right here. Like, right, I guess, like, the fleshy part, this, and I guess they hit the brain, I suppose. I don't know. It was like a weird place. It didn't like stab her in the head like this. Stabbed her like right here at the temple, and that was it. And then she's dead. She falls over dead. I don't know what the character's name, but she's dead. After that, we then go back to Jimmy, who checks on Laurie because he's like, I like to watch Laurie. He's like, we all know you like to watch Laurie, Jimmy. We know. But Laurie has now fallen into a catatonic state because of her weird dreams of her childhood, which she apparently is now learning and realizing, oh, Michael Myers is my brother. I guess I've always known. And he fucking freaks out, and so he starts calling for help. And I think he gets, like, I think there's, like, another nurse, because he doesn't know where he doesn't know where Nurse Alvers is. She's gone. And the only other nurse I think is still alive at this point is Nurse Jill. And he's like, I gotta get help. We gotta get help. And Jill's like, all right, I'll go out and try to find help too. And so Michael then takes this opportunity, now that they both left, he goes into Laurie's room, and he's like, got myself a scalpel, and starts stabbing, like, the bed. But then he's like, wait a minute, it doesn't feel like I'm stabbing a body. He then pulls the bedding off, and Laurie is gone. He's like, but she was just, how? And then we see Laurie, we cut, and I guess she faked the catatonic stain because she realizes Michael is coming after her now, I guess. And so she's running down the hallway, and she goes into another room, and she tries to call, the phone, but the phone lines are cut, and she just fucking passes out. By the way, we're at the 1 hour mark in the movie at this point. This is the first time that Jamie Lee Curtis has been allowed to stand and move around. For the last hour, chat, she's literally been laying in a bed. Either she's been laying on the ground, she's been laying in a gurney, or she's been laying in a bed. They give her nothing to do in this film. Where are we now? Where are we now? Oh, yes, that's right. So we then cut to Jimmy, who is looking for anyone, but particularly Nurse Alvers, because she's the one that's really can control the hospital because she knows what needs to be done. He goes to one of the rooms where he sees Nurse Alvers on a chair, and she has been killed. She's been killed, and I'm kind of confused as to what Michael did, because we see that her arm has, she has an IV in her arm, and it's a tube, and a big, plastic tube, which then caused her to be drained of blood. Basically, she bled to death, I guess. And Jimmy, it's this huge fucking puddle, everywhere. It's like, oh, wow, I better get help. And then Jimmy, he takes one step, whoa, he fucking trips, smacks his head on the goddamn ground, and knocks himself out. Jimmy's on the case, Chad. Good old Jimmy. Good old Jimbo knocked himself out. Jesus Christ. The only thing he's good at, Chad, is looking at women when they sleep. That's it. It's just so fucking creepy. Anyway, moving on from that, we then cut to, I think Nurse Jill. She goes outside because she can't do the phone lines. Mr. Garrett's not responding. Doesn't know where anyone else. But she runs outside, and she notices that she tries to start her car. Engine's dead. Her tires are slashed. Michael then, apparently at some point during the night, Michael went to every single vehicle on the hospital grounds and slashed all the tires, stabbed all the tires, and disassembled all the engines. It's like, Jesus, man works fast, chat. And so then she runs back into the hospital where Laurie is now stumbling around, and she's like, Laurie, there you are. But right as Laurie is about to say, Nurse Jill, fucking Michael Myers comes from behind the corner and goes, hello, Nurse Jill. And Laurie's like, no. And then Michael Myers proceeds to take I guess he's using a scalpel, and rams it up Nurse Jill's butt. She's like, my butt! And just lifts her up into the air, chat, until she dies. And you know she died because she did a big old stinky poop. Because when you die, chat, you void all your bowels and show Nurse Jill is dead. She dies via a butt stabbing. Don't get stabbed in the butt. So she dies. And Laurie's like, Jesus Christ, I gotta deal with this. And so she starts running from Michael Myers throughout the hospital. They go into the basement and things. He tries to grab her. He stabs her in the thighs and everything. She finds the body of Mr. Garrett. His tummy's all been slashed and all the buttered noodles has fallen out. It's horrible. Eventually, she gets into an elevator, and she rides that up, and she gets up to the first floor of the hospital again, and then she goes outside, and she hides in a car that she finds. Because she can't run anywhere because she's kind of derpy on the medicine still. She's a little wonky. So she hides in that car. Meanwhile, Chad, we then cut back to Dr. Loomis and Sheriff Generic White Man. And they go to the Michael Myers house again, where the people of Haddonfield are trying to destroy it. They're throwing shit at it, throwing rocks and trying to deface it and everything. The cops trying to calm them down. And I think Dr. Loomis has a crazy line in this. He's like, yes, the tribe has lost one of their numbers and they seek retribution. It's like, wow. I'm like, okay, sure. The tribe. The sheriff's like, yeah. So where do you want to go? We must find him. We must find him. He's gone somewhere. Oh, where could he have gone? And so they hear that there's been a breaking in at the school. At some point, Michael Myers went to Laurie's school, okay? And so they go to the school, and they go to the classroom that Michael is watching her at in the first movie. They go inside and they find the Mayo knife. Because I'm like, what happened? Because I'm asking chat, what happened to the Mayo knife from earlier that he got from the elderly couple? What happened to it? Apparently he left it there. And we see this picture. Now it doesn't make any sense though, because it's literally a high school, and yet there's this drawing of of a family, but by like a kindergartner. It's like, why is this drawing made by a kindergarten in the classroom of a high school? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, he stabbed it. And then on the chalkboard, there is this Celtic word, shamwow. It's like I don't know, some shamishin or whatever. And Donald, they're like, what does this mean, Dr. Loomis? He's like, yes, shamwow. Oh, it's the ancient Celtic entity. It refers to the nothing, the darkness in man's soul. It is indescribable. It is just dark. And it's like, okay. So I forgot in the movie that they established, I realized that they did the whole brother-sister relationship. That's what established here. But this is technically also, chat, the first movie where they established that Michael Myers is somehow connected to dark Celtic mythology. And I'm like, oh, I thought that was established in the Thorn trilogy in 4, 5, and 6. But it comes out of nowhere. So, shamwow, the darkness is coming. And so they leave the classroom. And then before they leave the school, I forget, like there's another nurse character that works at the insane asylum that Dr. Loomis worked at and took care of Michael and things. And she arrives, and because I guess the governor is now requesting that Dr. Loomis be taken off the case. But you know what? I agree with the fucking governor. He should be. He's been running around the neighborhood, scaring children. Got another innocent person killed, chat, who burned away. Oh, they checked that guy's dental records and they're like, it's inconclusive. And he's like, it's not him. It's not Michael. And so you just killed an innocent person. Like, what are you talking about? And they try to do it away. It's like, oh, well, the character, that guy that got hit by the car and exploded and burned to death, he was drunk. It's like, no, they harassed that man. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway. Oh, was that Ben Tramer? Oh, that was so funny. That was the person that Laurie had a crush on the first movie. So yeah, they fucking killed her crush. Yeah. Laurie's been having a bad night. Laurie's been having a real bad night. So yeah, Ben Tramer got killed, I guess. He burned away. But anyway, this nurse shows up. She's like, listen, dude, you're a fucking menace. People are afraid of you. It's now not only on state news, chat, not only does the entire state of Illinois what's happening in Haddonfield, but the fucking nation is following this because they're all like, what the fuck's going on? Because there's been all these bodies are piling up. And he's like, you won't stop me. I need to stop him. I shot him 6 times. And she's like, that's great. I literally have a marshal that's going to arrest you and take you away. And he's like, And so they arrest him. They fucking arrest him, Chad. They put him in the back of the car, and they're driving out of Haddonfield. And then Dr. Loomis starts telling the nurse about the ShamWow word that he found. And it's like, yes, the Celts, they couldn't come up with the right term to describe evil in men's souls, and so they made the word ShamWow, and it describes the internal darkness that we're all capable of, the unconsciousness of evil, for random acts of horribleness. And she's like, hey, that's cool. By the way, I found a secret file that you were never privy to, that apparently no one's privy to, because I guess the adopted parents of Laurie Strode asked that it be sealed. And he's like, what is this file? Who is this Strode woman? This wench? He's like, she was the girl that you saved. And he's like, yeah. What's the connection? Why was this file sealed away from my eyes, my prying eyes? And she's like, so Michael Myers' parents 2 years later had another child, and it was Laurie, and I guess then they died somehow, and then she was adopted by the Strodes, but they requested that none of this information be revealed until this key moment in the film. And he's like, oh my God, it's the sister. He craves the blood of the sister. And it's like, first of all, people have always said like, one of the big criticisms of the new movies, like Halloween 2018, is, oh, it doesn't make any sense. Like, that he's coming after Laurie. Not even it doesn't even make any sense. Like, Michael doesn't have a motivation anymore. That's what it is. They criticize Michael doesn't have a motivation anymore because he wants to kill his family. Why the fuck does he want to kill his family in the first place? That's never established. That's never established in any of these fucking timelines. It's not established in this movie. It's not established in the Thorn trilogy. It's the cults, I guess. This fucking druid cult that's controlling him. And H2O, they don't establish why he's doing it. There's no explanation. And so I'm sorry, but the whole brother-sister relationship, which I know has been important to this franchise, has been a big story element. It makes no fucking sense. And I forgot how poorly it's done here. But then it's like, they asked that not be revealed. And it's like, okay, so why is Michael still coming after her? They don't know. And so that's why in the new movies, early 2018, David Gordon Green and Dan McBride said, yeah, we're not going to do the family element because it's scary not knowing. And I agree with them. It's scary not knowing what Michael's motivation is. Like, yeah, what compels him to kill? We don't know. That's the big mystery of the movie. Fucking Dr. Savine, who's like the Dr. Loomis replacement, who's like truly evil. He's trying to figure that out, but he doesn't. He pays for it, his own hubris. And so I was like, yeah, that works better. So in any case, he's like, we must go to the hospital because the evil is there. And so they eventually, that's the thing. Because this marshal's like, by the way, this marshal could give a shit less about anything that anyone is doing in the movie. When Dr. Loomis starts talking about the Celtic mumbo jumbo, he's like, whatever. And then when they bring up the big reveal that, oh, shit, which is, I get it, it's supposed to be a big reveal that, Michael Myers is the brother of Laurie Strode. He's like, oh, I guess that's cool or whatever. And then fucking Dr. Loomis is asking him, you must drive me to the hospital. The evil is there. And he's like, hey, Dr. Loomis, like, I gotta drive you out of the town. I mean, I've been told to. It's part of my job. And he's like, I'll fucking kill you. Dr. Loomis pulls out his gun. He's like, I'll shoot you. I'll shoot you dead. It won't take 6 shots to kill you. And he's like, I mean, all right, I guess I'll drive to the hospital. Okay, whatever. So he's been taken hostage. And this guy, either he's such a terrible actor, he's being directed so terribly, he has such a non-reaction. He's like, all right, I guess we're going to the hospital now. Okay. And so they drive to the fucking hospital, chat. But they drive that way. They almost get there. Eventually, Jimmy. We then cut to Jimmy, who is now really derpy and severely fucking concussed. But he has not even encountered Michael once. He goes to his car, which so happens to have Laurie inside of it, and he opens his, Laurie, how you doing? She's like, Jimmy, I'm gonna get us out of here, Laurie. Here we go. And his fucking head just hits the fucking car horn. He's knocked out. He's severely concussed. And so he's constantly getting her in trouble, chat. And she moves him. She has to move his limp. I don't know. I think is he dead? I don't know if he dies here. I'm not sure. But he probably has some sort of brain damage. I don't give Michael that kill because Jimmy brought that on himself. He tripped over some blood and fucking slammed his head into that linoleum. Anyway. She freaks out because she's like, oh, Michael's going to hear that. That's like a fucking ding. That's like a dinner bell. It's like, din, 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 Michael. He's like, and so she climbs out of the car. When she's doing this, Dr. Loomis, the marshal, and the other nurse, they pull up. And she's like, help me. They don't hear her at all. And they go inside the hospital. And she gets up. She's kind of crawling forward. And then Michael's like, hey, I heard the din-din bell. Oh, Laurie, take these keys. And she's like, no. And so she runs to the hospital door and she bursts in. She's like, help me. And Dr. Loomis, is he here? Is he here? Tell me, girl. Is he here? He's outside. He's like, stand back, everyone. And he pulls out the gun, waiting for Michael to arrive. And Michael pulls a fucking Kool-Aid man. I don't think Michael knows how to open doors. He just busts through the fucking window, the glass doors, goes, but you can tell that it hurt him to do so. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ, I shouldn't do that. And he walks forward, and Dr. Loomis shoots him another 6 times. And we see him get plugged each time. And he falls over. And He's like, he's still trying to shoot him, but he's no more bullets left. And the marshal's like, oh, geez, Doc, you sure got him good. He's like, yeah, stay away from him. Stay away from him. He's still breathing. He's like, I think he's dead. And then the nurse who is with Dr. Loomis, she's like, listen, I'm going to go and get more help. And he's like, be careful, be careful. And she, like, crosses the body, but Michael doesn't react. And the marshal's like, yeah, I guess you killed Michael Myers. I guess it's kind of cool, but, I got to check to see if he's alive, He's like, don't touch him, Marshal! He's like, it's part of my job, man. That's what I got to do. And he goes down, and Michael Myers, in a non-sexual way, and tries to read his pulse, and Michael, fucking, you made a mistake, Marshal's like, well, this is what happens. I should have listened to the doctor or whatever, and now I'm probably going to get killed. But, hey, that's what happens. Comes with the job, I guess. And then Michael fucking slashes his throat. He's like, I guess I'm dying now. Oh, well. And he dies. And at this point, Dr. Loomis and Laurie, they hide in the hospital. They hide in the hospital, and they hide in this one room, this surgery room or whatever. And he's like, stand back, stand back. Once he goes to the door, I will defeat evil. The devil shall not harm you again, girl. And, he busts through the fucking doors like, come here. And he's like, but he wasted all of his six shot. He has a six shooter, Chad. He's like, oh, no. And then Michael goes, stab, and he stabs him in the tummy. He's like, And listen, Donald Pleasant's the best thing about this movie. I love that he's overacting, but the way in which he just throws himself back after he's been stabbed is great. He's like, he just crashes into a whole bunch of shit. Eventually, Michael's like, you need to take these keys. And she's like, no, Michael, it's me, your sister, Laura. And he's like, I have a sister? I have a sister. I killed my last one. Really? I'm just trying to give you these keys back. And she's like, it's a trick. And then she takes out a gun, boom, and shoots him. She shoots him in the fucking face, which I guess blinds him. It's this famous shot where the blood runs down his mask through the eye holes, and everyone loves that shot, but whatever. And then he's like, I've been blinded. And he's trying to stab her, but he can't see anymore. And then Dr. Loomis, he comes to, and what they start doing is, They open up all these gas tanks. They have all these gas tanks inside the surgery room or something, and compressed air. And Michael is being distracted by the sound, so he can't hear them. And Laurie, she waddles over to the door, and Dr. Loomis is like, you must go, you must leave here. I need to destroy the evil. It needs to be burned away. It's the only way to kill evil is through the cleansing flame of God. And she's like, okay. So she leaves. And he's like, Michael, come to me, my boy. Come to me. I failed you. But I must do what I must do. It's an end for us, Michael. And he has the Zippo letter, goes boom, and explosion. By the way, this movie is Dr. Loomis and Michael were supposed to die. Carpenter said, no, they're dead. I love it when they're brought back in, like, for example, in 4, where they really reference the events of 2. And, like, they have Michael, like, all bandaged up. When they remove the bandages, he has, like, no burns whatsoever. And Dr. Loomis has, like, a little bit of a scar on his face. They literally fucking explode out of the room, Chad. Like, it's entirely engulfed in flame, but, like, whatever. There's a little scar, and Michael's just, he's fine. He's pretty. As a matter of fact, he's pretty. We see his face, I think, in 4 or 5 or something. Anyway, Laurie walks. She takes cover from the massive fucking explosion, and she hides there, and she kind of like, she's just resting. And then Michael comes out of the fucking room completely engulfed in flame, and he's like, you left these on my porch. And he falls over, Chad, and he seemingly burns to death. We then cut. It's later that morning. We don't know what happened to Jimmy. I have no idea. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. It doesn't matter, Chad. I don't think there's any big Jimmy fans out there. But, the sheriff, generic white guy, he's talking to his deputies. He's like, how many bodies did you find? He's like, 10 for right now. Found the body of poor Dr. Loomis and the burned corpse of Michael Myers. He's like, well, at least the horror is finally over. At least this franchise ends with this film. And then they put Laurie Strode into the ambulance, and they drive away, Chad. They drive away to more movies in this franchise. And that, my friends, is my scene by scene breakdown chat to Halloween 2, the 1981 I don't like it. I feel like this movie has a couple of cool things. I think Donald Pleasance is very entertaining in the film because he is overacting for most of it, and that works for me. Anytime we cut to him, I'm like, oh, what crazy shit is this man going to say next? There's some cool kills in it. I like the opening credits, I suppose. But yeah, so much of this, it's just boring. Like, I over-exaggerate a little bit, Chad, because I feel like I need to. Like, there's just so much unnecessary. Even though the movie's short, it's like 85 minutes, really. Because there's 5 minutes of credits at the end. And so it's like 85 minutes, and you could cut maybe like 10, 15 minutes out of this movie. It'd be a little more faster pace. I mean, you still got to deal with, like, these really fucking lame, boring characters. You really can't remember. Who are you again? Wait, which character? What nurse were you? They have, like, 7 different nurses in this movie, and I wouldn't know what the names were. I had to look them up. But, and again, I'm sorry, but I know it's a big fixture of the franchise. Well, first of all, the Celtic stuff is just nonsense. That's just, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? This is mumbo jumbo. Like, this was not even the first film. Why are you bringing up the ShamWow shit? What? But the whole thing with establishing the fact that Michael Myers is the brother of Laurie Strode, I know that's important to many other films in the franchise. I understand that. But the way in which they do it doesn't make any sense. It comes out of nowhere. And it's sloppy. And so I am happy, very, very happy, that they've moved away from that in these new films. But that's just me. That's just kind of how I feel, Chad. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'd have to give this not quite some old bullshit, because Donald Pleasance is so fun in this movie. So I'm going to give this a low rental. This is a low rental for me, Chad, on the double toasted scale. Not my thing. Yeah, that's funny enough. This movie and Halloween Kills kind of suffer from the same problems. I feel like Halloween Kills is better than this movie. I feel like Halloween Kills, where, yes, the hospital stuff and the fact that they cut, Laurie's just not in it. She's in a hospital for most of it. Why'd you do that? That was a huge mistake. But Halloween Kills is just better paced, in my opinion. It still has people I like. But they are very similar to each other. He feels like the movie regressed compared to its predecessor in terms, yes, it's sort of story and try to compensate with shock. Yes, 100%. You're right. Yep, I agree. The only hardest thing to kill isn't Michael, but the reason to make more of this franchise. Yeah. I feel like, at this point, Chad, like, I'll be seeing Halloween. Halloween Ends comes out this week. I'm hoping for the best of that movie. But Halloween 2018 was just so refreshing. It should have been one movie. It should have been just like, hey, let's do this. This is the sequel, and they should have killed Michael in that film. But money. Yeah. Hallenberg, have a great evening. Because it loves the new Halloween. I love the 2018 one. It's excellent. Kane, Halloween 2, 4, and Kills Fuel had the main character silent. They kill. Laurie's not even alive in 4 because the Thorn, because they say where she had her daughter. What was her name? Daughter's name? Jamie. And then Laurie died in a car accident, I feel like. And then we just follow her niece. Or it's not her niece, her daughter. Samhain, by the way, is a Celtic festival about celebrating the dead. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the evil spirits. You can't kill the boogeyman. I guess that's true. The 2018 movie's ominous ending was... Yeah, it should have been. It could have ended like that for me with the shot of the basement. That would have been fine. And it's just like, oh, shit, evil always exists. But maybe Myers has finally been killed. But... yeah, Sally was sequel bait. But what's cool about that movie is you can literally watch that film and consider that the ending. I thought 2018's movie... Oh, I'm sorry. I got to get going as well. Peace out, everyone. Baby GTG. Have a great evening. Thank you. ShamWow, the ShamWow Festival. I appreciate the sibling thing because a man being driven to kill his family is creepy as fuck to me. After one movie, A Force of Nature is boring. No motivation equals no interest for me. What I'm supposed to anticipate. But my problem, though, with that, the whole family thing, because people said that. Yes, they're like, oh, that's his motivation. But why does he want to kill his family? That's the thing I don't understand. Like, they never really said that. Like, why does he want to kill Laurie? We don't know. We really don't know. Because I'm thinking back at those movies. Yes, in the Thorn trilogy, it's because it's the cult or whatever. But in 2, I don't know why. And in H2O and Resurrection, I don't know why either. It's confusing. And to me, that's why, for me, it feels unnecessary. But, it's been a thing that has defined, it's been a plot point that has defined many entries in the franchise for years. So, you need some more Silver Shamrock, yes. And fucking Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, much better than this movie, but one day I'll review that. Chad. Simmons Rob, I guess? Yeah, I suppose so. But, hey, That's just how I feel about this movie. This movie has a lot of fans, Chad. A lot of people like this film. I think I'm kind of in the minority who's not the biggest fan of it, honestly. But hey, to each their own. Now, my friends, there's no need to go beyond that. Sure, yeah, all right, fair enough. I get it. But now, my friends, we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch over to some Mortuary System. Try to get the final ending in that. Oh, but I hope you liked the review, though, overall. Good review. Thank you. At least it's over. Or is it? Yeah, Michael Myers. How did his eyes grow back? She shot him in the face. She blew his eyes out with the gun. Yeah. Oh, because you know why? Supernatural. I guess supernatural. Because even H2O, it's like, okay, clearly he's supernatural in H2O, but they don't say as to like why he's supernatural. In the Thorn, I will get the Thorn trilogy that. At least like I said, it's magic. And it's like, all right, magic. His eyes grew back because of magic, I guess. Yeah. I just watched Halloween 5 for the first time. That shit, Halloween 5 is crazy. Yeah. They kind of said the end of, well, I don't know, because I'm thinking about it, like Halloween 4 sets up that like his niece is going to be the next Michael Myers, but then people went, no, we don't want that. We want Michael back. And it's like, oh, well. There's an ending where you see Jimmy in the ambulance of Laurie. Oh, really? Oh, shit. Well, the ending that I saw recently was not that ending. It's weird. There are two versions of this movie in Halloween for You. Find out Jimmy's father. Oh, really? Oh, shit. Wow. Oh, wow. But also Jimmy died because we don't see him again after this. That's what I figured, but apparently. Wait, wait a minute. Now, wait, did they have like a relationship? Is it said that they had a relationship or Jimmy? Because the thing is, chat, Jimmy is really creepy in this movie because he just meets Laurie and he's infatuated with her like. It almost could be like a movie in a movie. That would have been interesting. What if you had it where Jimmy is like a fucking serial killer and has become infatuated with Laurie, but then you also have Michael Myers at the same time doing what he's doing? That would be nuts. That'd be kind of cool. Was Jimmy in H2O? Honestly, I have not seen H2O in probably just as long as probably for as long as like Halloween 2 for me. It's probably been nearly 20 years. I think the last time I saw H2O was like when I was 12 or 13 or something like that. So I'll be watching it soon. I'll probably watch it this evening after my stream. Because that'll be my review for tomorrow, Chad. I'm doing the H2O timeline, so I'll let you know. Because I don't actually, I have no idea. Oh, that was Laurie's son name? Thank you, Osnick. I gave it a low rental. I thought they implied both Laurie and the father were dead in part 4. I know that in part 4 that they say Laurie is dead. I guess the father too, I suppose. But I didn't know if it was Jimmy or not. Fun fact, Leo Rossi, who played Bud, went on The Right Guy in 2017, starring John Travolta. Yeah, well, hey, at least he's still working. At least he's still doing stuff. No, yeah, I know H2O ignores. So the timelines, so that's what I said. Like, Halloween 2 in 81 is it's an important film in the franchise because it's a branching off point. After Halloween 2, you got the Thorn trilogy, which followed the events of Halloween 2, in which Laurie dies, off screen, and she gave birth to a daughter, I think Jamie or whatever. And that's Halloween 4, 5, and 6, or The Curse of Michael Myers. That was the cult stuff. And then you have the H2O timeline, which I'm reviewing this week, where after Halloween 2, you got H2O, where Laurie changed her name and stuff. And I don't know what happened with Michael. I guess he just went in hiding. I'm not sure. And then Resurrection. And that's that timeline. Yeah, and then you have the most recent one, which is the H40 timeline, which is the original Halloween 78, and then it goes to Halloween 2018 and kills and then ends. And then you also have the Rob Zombie duology, and then you have Season of the Witch as well. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Halloween Resurrection is full of dumb fun. It's full of... Yeah, I have not seen in quite some time, so I'm interested. Interested to watch it. Oh, Janet Leigh, her mom was in there. Oh, wow. Yeah, she had a son in that. And she has a son in that. What's his name? I forget. Oh, God damn it. Forgot his name. Any case, the Halloween verse. Indeed. Chat, give me a second. I'm just going to go get some water. In the meantime, entertain yourselves amongst yourselves.